Just going to bring out the running man, the running myth, the legend himself, Edgar Wright.
I appreciate more of us. I'm like you. I'm a big time first thing in the morning movie viewer. Yeah. Seriously, I love it. Like I used to win in LA when they sadly no longer with us art like Hollywood used to have 9 a.m. screenings. Like, oh, perfect. So get a coffee, watch a movie. Thanks for coming out.
Once you put that IMAX theater in your Malibu estate, too, like I imagine the 9 a.m. IMAX screenings are just so much easier than having to go out, right?
That's the stress I didn't have.
Congratulations on this.
Thank you.
I know that, like a lot of us pop omnivores of a certain age, you read this when it came out in the Bachman books, and I know everybody's been recirculating that 2017 tweet about what your dream remake would be. But had you ever considered adapting this book before Simon Kinberg reached out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I read the book when I was a 14-year-old. You know, I started reading Stephen King at exactly the right age, which is too young. I had read the book before I saw the 1987 film, because the 1987 film was 18 in the UK, so I did see it at the cinema, I saw it on VHS a couple of years later. So it's a weird thing where, obviously, as a 14-year-old, I'm not a film director, but obviously you visualize the book in your head. And when I saw the Arnie film, which I really enjoyed, it's a completely different thing.
Well, it's an Arnold Schwarzenegger film, it's not an adaptation.
Yeah, it's a different movie, you know, it's a completely different beast. So I just had this, I knew, like, and had this long-held opinion of, like, oh, there's another movie in that source material. And so I had thought about it, and I think maybe about 15 years ago, I actually looked into the rights of it, which were, it was not vain, but it was all very complicated. So it was something where it came up as a question in Q&As, and Simon Kinberg obviously read that somewhere, and asked me, is it true that you have an interest in doing something with the right man? So it's amazing, it's kind of kismet. It's kind of wild, like, I had a sort of real kind of full circle moment yesterday. We were doing some Q&As, and I think in between I went to Barnes & Noble, and the novel is now out with the poster from the film. Which, and I had to go, they had so many free copies out, so I'm going to go and buy one right now, because this is kind of huge. Like, sort of being a 14-year-old reading that book, and then it's republished with the poster. It's crazy.
I just love, I picture this clueless Barnes & Noble clerk being like, oh, are you going to go see the movie when it comes out? It looks awesome.
It did have my favorite thing about those books is the thing in the book. Now a major motion picture. Yes! Now it's a major motion picture again.
So when did Glenn Howell's name start getting circulated as somebody who could possibly play Ben? And let's talk a little bit about the other casting choices too, like Coleman Domingo and Brolin. And
yeah, I mean, it wasn't really until this film came together. After having thought about it for a long time, actually when it started to come together, it came together really fast. It wasn't until the start of last year. Me and Michael Bacall have been working on the script since sort of early 22, but then with the writer's strike in 2023 and the actor strike and kind of everything, it's all kind of everything stopped for a year, you know, because of the guild action. And early 24, and things are kind of ramping up, like it suddenly was happening. I actually was working on another smaller movie that didn't come together and kind of fell apart because of the strikes. And suddenly it was kind of happening, and Glenn's name came up from the studio actually, because obviously when you're making a movie of this sort of scale, the studio do that thing. They're not dictating to you, but they say, these are the kind of actors that we like.
Tom Cruise, and Tom Cruise.
Tom wasn't on the list actually. They probably, you know, like sort of like too expensive. But like, no, he wasn't on the list. But it was more like, what was amazing about it was that I had known Glenn, and I knew him a little bit socially, and I was a fan of his, especially in the Richard Linklater films, like Everybody Wants Some came out. And his name was the only person on the list of all these kind of A-list movie stars who you hadn't seen on screen killing 1,000 bad guys before. And it was kind of key thing about this film, makes it different from the Arnold one, is that, like the book, at the start of the movie, he's an out-of-work dad. He's on the couch, he's kind of been blacklisted, he can't work. And you know, he's tough because he works in construction, but he's not an existing action hero at the start of the movie. He's not a trained killer, he's not a super spy. And so Glenn, when me and Michael Bacall saw Glenn's name on the list, we was literally like, that's the guy. Like, he would just be perfect. And I think it's kind of Glenn, because he's so naturally charming and funny, and he's as nice a guy as he appears in Interview, I have to tell you that. He really is the person you think he is. So then to make him the world's angriest man is kind of funny. Like, so, and he was just, and he heard, this never happens, it's like, usually in those situations when actors are in the mix, you might hear from people's agents, but you don't hear from the actors themselves. Except for Glenn, who texted me and sent me this text and said, hey, I don't know if this is true or not, I'm in contention for the Running Man, but if you pick me, I promise I'll work harder than any actor you've ever worked with. And he was true to his word. It's kind of amazing. Like, so it was just one of those things where I think, like, seeing him kind of like grow into the part and just, you know, kind of bringing sort of like a different edge and intensity. I couldn't say enough nice things about that guy. He's amazing.
And Domingo, Brolin, Lee Pace.
Josh I had known for a number of years, but I'd never like really had anything for him until this, and it was just great because it was great for somebody that I've probably known on and off for like 20 years to actually say, hey, would you consider this? And it was, what was great about him doing it was that the whole idea was him to, the worst people in entertainment, or business for that matter, come with smiles. They don't need to bear their fangs. I mean, he has big veneers in it. But what I mean is that when you meet those people, the kind of the worst people in the business, they don't need to show their villainy. It's always smiles, and it's always like, hey, I'm your best friend. And if there's bad news, it's coming from somebody else. So I just sort of said to Josh, I said, we've got to play it like one of those executives who's just like, would seem on the surface to be the, or he's saying the darkest shit like it's the most reasonable thing. Because it's reasonable to him. He's gaslit himself into thinking that this is all okay. So I think that I really love Josh's performance in it because he plays it all like, why are you scared of making money? What's wrong with you? You know?
He's the sweetest reptile on screen.
I like that the most, I mean, it's the kind of thing, because in villain parts, the obvious thing is to kind of get nostalgia and sort of blow his top. But I like that even at the very end, the most he is really disappointed. He's just disappointed that this guy's kind of fucked it all up. You know? And I even like his very final thing at the end when it's like he's on the other end of the gun and he's like, hey. He's about to say, hit me up.
Coleman, Lee?
I mean, Coleman, when he came on board really late, which was, and he came in the middle of his Sing Sing press tour. We only shot this film, like we started shooting this film in November 2024. So we shot from November 24 to March this year, which is crazy. And so Coleman was shooting in January, and actually, you know, he did the best then. Like, so Coleman, obviously a brilliant film and TV actor, but also a Broadway and West End veteran. And the thing that he did was amazing, which I think you can feel in the movie, is he's kind of smart enough and kind enough to include all of the extras in the audience. So he would sort of come on as an actor and sort of as his character, whooping them up in between the takes and talking to them and getting them all excited. So kind of by the end of the first day of shooting, he had that crowd like in the palm of his hand. And it was a really good thing to see. You know, sometimes you see an actor not kind of engage with the extras at all. But he was like talking to them like they were his crowd, and he knew the scene would be better if he got them all riled up, and it was amazing.
Yeah, I kept, and then McCone shows up, and I'm like, who's the guy in the mask? When's Lee Pace going to show up? I saw him in the credits, I know he's in this. And then when you unmask him, and you get that,
recognize that Lee Pace voice in his costume.
I may have been so taken with everything else happening on screen, I might have been like, I'm sure Lee Pace is going to show up, and we're like, oh my god, there's naked Glenn Powell in a fucking mansion.
I had to do this thing, but he had a variety profile, and so we said something nice about Lee Pace, and I said Lee Pace would have been a silent movie star 100 years ago, and made the transition to talkies. Because he's just got the voice. He's amazing. I mean, he kind of looks like a old-time movie star.
He looks like Ramon Navarro.
Yeah, like a swashbuckler. He's amazing. And like, so, my favorite shot of Lee Pace in the movie is him passively aggressively cleaning his sunglasses. when Glenn's got the loud hailer and Lee's just staring daggers at him and just takes his glasses off and starts cleaning them. And it's just such a great villain move of just like do nothing except clean your glasses. But I love working with Lee. He's amazing. And it's funny, when before the film was coming out, somebody on Twitter said, why would you cast the most handsome man and cover his face up? And I was like, you haven't seen the whole movie, bro. What do you mean he's going to be covered up the whole thing?
I want to go back to that thing you just said about starting production in November, like literally a year ago, and then filming until March. I've heard either 165 or 170 different locations. You shot in 3 different countries. How did you manage to navigate something of this size? I mean, this just sounds like
with great difficulty. I know, it was really ambitious, and like, honestly, I wouldn't have got through the whole thing without working with a crew that I'd worked with before. Like, so many people on the movie, people that I'd worked with before, Chung Hoon, cinematographer, like Dan Prescott, the second lead director, and worked on Baby Driver with me. My editor, I worked with in space. My producer, I worked with in space. Like, production designer, Mark Runts in space. Like, for like, you obviously there's some people who worked on this movie who hadn't worked before, brilliant, like Industrial Light and Magic, although the supervisor, Edgar Wright, did Scott Pilgrim. Like, that is the only way through it, is to kind of have a shorthand with people, because we had to hit ground, pun not intended, but had to hit the ground running. Because it came together really fast, and then it's like there was sort of an opportunity to do it, and sort of a window to do it in. And even though it was very daunting, it's like, okay, it's the biggest movie, it's got the most locations. I will say that was a key part of the adaptation, was that in the original book, the game is out in the world. In the 1987 one, they sort of keep it contained to an arena.
Right.
And when I saw the film as a teenager, I was a bit disappointed that the gameplay was contained. And now, having made the movie and done 165 locations, I realised that the makers of the original movie were really smart and sensible. Because it was aside from the action, that was easily the most grueling, exhausting part of it. Is just, we wanted to do this big, expansive kind of action road movie. That's what the film is. But to do all of those locations and do like 6 production movies a day and all of that, because it's not just Glenn's story, it's all the other stuff. It's like the other episodes, and the adverts and the reality shows and the other game shows. So there's so much stuff to do at every stage. I mean, there'll always be something else going on. There's one bit, like, I don't know if you've seen in Killian's reception of that video wall of like deaths on the show.
Yeah.
And that was like 34 different death scenes.
which you filmed all of.
We filmed all of them. It's kind of like a snuff movie version of Jackass. It'll be on the Blu-ray. I thought like we should just string all of the deaths together. I just have the death reels, like 34 deaths in a row. It'll end up on rotten.com. Is that as soon as it is?
I think it does. Real quick before we go, let's talk about the ending, because it stays very faithful to the Bachman ending, and then you get this kind of Bachman ending with benefits, where you throw this coda on that actually is a little bit more optimistic, I think, than how the book ends. Talk a little bit about fashioning that with your co-writer and putting that on again.
Well, I think we never really considered doing the ending of the book, because there are some, I won't go into it, some real life parallels that are a bit too disturbing. But also it was something where I felt like we, needed to, obviously have a glimmer of hope and also rebellion. That like the sort of film is about, Ben Richards being a reluctant revolutionary for most of the movie. Mm-hmm. He's not doing it to change the world. He's literally just trying to buy medicine for his kid. And then I think the thing is that it's one man against the system, and then he realizes he's not alone, and then he realizes he's the start of something. So kind of it's his full transition to being a revolutionary at the end. So that was definitely, and obviously that in itself, I actually kind of like pleasantly surprised that we managed to get through so much anti-corporate stuff in the studio movie, which is a surprise even to myself. So you're welcome.
Remind me, what was the studio that made this again?
Listen, I'll say this: they didn't ask me to cut anything out.
You're here. Thank you guys so much for coming out, sticking around. Thank you.
And also thank you for coming out to listen, the reason we make these things, I know you guys are here because you love movies on the big screen. The reason I make these is I love movies on the big screen, and the exhibition is really important. This is one of the best cinemas in the country. it's really great to see you here at 10 o'clock in the morning, so I really appreciate it. And thank you for coming out, not just to this movie, but to the movies. Thank you.
Here, here.
Thank you.